The morning sun rose over New Sol like any other day. The human colony on Kepler 442b had been peaceful for 3 years now. Families walked through the clean streets, children played in the parks. Nobody expected that this would be the last, normal day they would ever see. Commander Tae-ho Kim stood on the observation deck of the colony's defense center. He watched the morning shift workers heading to the mining facilities outside the city. Everything looked calm. His sensors showed nothing unusual in space around their planet. The daily report from Earth would arrive in a few hours, and he expected it to be routine news about trade agreements and new colonist applications. Dr. So-Young Park was already at the medical center, checking her equipment and reviewing patient files. She had moved to New Sol 2 years ago with her 8-year-old son Jin-woo after her husband died in a transport accident on Earth. The colony offered them a fresh start, and Jin-woo loved the wide-open spaces and the different-colored sky. Today was Tuesday, which meant Jin-woo had art class at school after lunch. "Mom, can I take my new drawing pad to school today?" Jin-woo asked as he ate breakfast. "Of course, sweetie. What are you planning to draw?" "I want to draw humans and aliens being friends. Teacher Kim said that maybe someday we'll meet aliens and I want to show them that we want to be friends." Dr. Park smiled at her son's innocent hope. "That sounds wonderful. Maybe your drawing will come true someday." Captain Min-Soo Lee was preparing his cargo ship Harmony for departure from the colony's spaceport. He had supplies to deliver to the mining outposts in the outer settlements. His crew was loading the final containers when his communications officer called out. "Captain, I'm picking up some strange signals from the edge of the system. Multiple contacts moving fast." Min-Soo frowned. They weren't expecting any ships from Earth for another 2 weeks. "Can you identify them?" "Negative, sir. The signatures don't match any human vessels in our database." Back at the defense center, Commander Kim's peaceful morning ended abruptly when his sensors began screaming warnings. 12 large ships had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of their solar system. The ships were massive, each one 3 times larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their design was completely alien, with smooth curves and materials that seemed to absorb light. "Sir, incoming transmission," reported his communications officer. "Put it through." The main screen flickered, then showed a creature that made everyone in the room step back. It stood nearly 8 feet tall, with gray skin that looked like stone and forearms ending in sharp claws. Its eyes were pure black, and when it spoke, its voice sounded like grinding metal. "Primitive humans of this unauthorized settlement. I am Commander Zelnoth of the Galactic Dominion. You have established a colony in Dominion space without permission. This is a violation of galactic law." Commander Kim found his voice. "This is Commander Tae-ho Kim of the New Sol colony. We were not aware of any territorial claims on this system. We are peaceful settlers. Perhaps we can discuss this matter and reach an understanding." The alien's expression didn't change. "There will be no discussion. You will evacuate this planet within 1 solar day, or we will remove you by force. This is your only warning." The transmission ended. Commander Kim immediately opened a channel to Earth, but he knew the message would take hours to reach home and hours more for a response. He activated the colony's emergency protocols and began evacuation procedures for the outer settlements. Dr. Park received the emergency alert at her medical center. All non-essential personnel were ordered to prepare for possible evacuation. She thought about Jin-woo at school and wanted to go get him immediately, but her duty as chief medical officer required her to prepare the medical center for possible casualties. At the school, Jin-woo was in his art class, carefully drawing, his picture of humans and aliens shaking hands under a bright sun. His teacher, Ms. Young-mi Han, had heard the emergency announcement but was told to keep the children calm and continue with normal activities until further notice. "That's a beautiful drawing, Jin-woo," she said, looking at his work. "I hope the aliens will like it when they see it. Maybe they just don't understand that we want to be friends." Captain Min-Soo had rushed his cargo ship back to the main colony as soon as he heard about the alien ships. The Harmony wasn't a warship, but it was the fastest vessel the colony had. As he approached New Sol, he could see the alien fleet in the distance, their dark shapes standing out against the stars. The alien ships moved closer throughout the day. Commander Kim tried several more times to establish communication, offering to negotiate or at least allow time for evacuation. Each attempt was ignored. By afternoon, the alien fleet had taken positions around the planet. Their ships were close, enough now that people on the ground could see them as dark spots moving across the sky. Panic was beginning to spread through the colony, but the evacuation was proceeding slowly. There simply weren't enough ships to move 50,000 people quickly. At 3:47 p.m. local time, without any further warning, the alien attack began. Commander Zelnoth had received his orders directly from Overlord Vextar himself. Make an example of these humans. Show them and any other primitive species what happens when you colonize without Dominion permission. The attack should be swift and decisive, but leave enough survivors to spread the story. The first plasma cannon blast hit the power station on the edge of New Sol. The explosion lit up the sky like a second sun. Then more blasts followed, targeting the spaceport, the communications array, and the government buildings. Commander Kim's defense center shook as explosions rocked the colony. His small defensive fleet of 6 patrol boats launched immediately, but they were nothing compared to the massive alien ships. The patrol boats' weapons couldn't even penetrate the aliens' shields. Dr. Park was treating injured people being brought to the medical center when the building shook violently. Through the windows, she could see fires burning across the colony. Her thoughts went immediately to Jin Woo. At the school, Ms. Han was trying to keep 23 children calm as explosions echoed outside. The building's emergency shelter was in the basement, and she was leading the children there when the plasma cannon struck. The school building was not a military target. It posed no threat to anyone, but Commander Zelnoth's orders were to make an example, and examples require visible destruction. The plasma blast hit the school's main classroom wing directly. Jinwoo Park was still holding his drawing when the ceiling collapsed on top of him. When the attack ended 2 hours later, 1/3 of New Sol was in ruins. The spaceport was destroyed. The power station was gone. Government buildings were smoking craters. And in the wreckage of Sunshine Elementary School, rescue workers found the bodies of 8 children who hadn't made it to the shelter in time. Dr. Park ran through the burning streets toward the school as soon as the attack stopped. She found Commander Kim already there, helping with the rescue efforts. They pulled away chunks of concrete and twisted metal, desperately searching for survivors. They found Jin Woo under a collapsed beam, still clutching his drawing. Dr. Park knelt beside her son's broken body and held him close. The drawing was smudged with dust and blood, but you could still see what he had tried to create. Humans and aliens holding hands, smiling together under a peaceful sky. Commander Kim stood nearby, watching a mother hold her dead child, and felt something cold and hard settle in his chest. This wasn't war. This wasn't even a military action. This was murder. Captain Minsu's ship was one of the few that survived the attack on the spaceport. As he helped load wounded colonists, he saw Dr. Park carrying her son's body to the medical center. He saw the rage and grief in Commander Kim's eyes. He saw the drawing clutched in a dead child's hands. The alien fleet withdrew to orbit around the planet, their job apparently finished. Commander Zelnoth sent one final message to the colony. Let this be a lesson to all who would violate Dominion space. Your evacuation deadline remains unchanged. That night, Commander Kim finally received a response from Earth. Admiral Hyun-woo, Choi's face appeared on the screen, and Kim had never seen the veteran officer look so serious. Commander Kim, we received your initial message about the alien contact. What's your current status? Kim looked at the camera with hollow eyes. Sir, they attacked us without provocation. They destroyed 1/3 of the colony, including the elementary school. 8 children are dead, including 8-year-old Jinwoo Park, son of our chief medical officer. Admiral Choi was quiet for a long moment. In the background, Kim could hear voices talking rapidly, phones ringing, people moving with urgent purpose. Commander, I need you to compile a complete report of everything that happened. Get me names, casualty figures, and any recordings of alien communications. I want every detail. Sir, what should we tell the colonists? They're asking if Earth will negotiate with these aliens, if we'll pay whatever they want to leave us alone. Admiral Choi's expression became stone cold. Tell them that Earth has received their message about Jin-Woo Park. Tell them that we understand perfectly what these aliens think of human children. And tell them that Earth's response is already being prepared. The transmission ended, leaving Commander Kim staring at a blank screen. Across the colony, people gathered inside. The news of Jin-Woo Park's death spread across Earth faster than any government announcement ever had. Within 6 hours, every major news network was broadcasting the story. Within 12 hours, protest crowds had gathered outside government, buildings on every continent. But these weren't protests demanding peace negotiations. These were crowds demanding war. The image that appeared on every screen, every social media feed, every news broadcast, was Jin-Woo's drawing. The blood-stained paper showing humans and aliens holding hands had become the most powerful symbol Earth had ever known. Beneath it, news anchors read the same simple caption. Jin-Woo Park, age 8, wanted to be friends. President Narration stood before the United Earth Assembly as emergency session continued into its second day. Representatives from every nation sat in complete agreement, something that hadn't happened in decades. The usual debates about military spending, territorial disputes, and trade agreements seemed meaningless now. The Galactic Dominion sent us a message, President Song said, her voice carrying clearly through the massive hall. They wanted us to understand our place in their galaxy. They wanted us to know what happens when humans act without their permission. She paused, looking at the representatives. I believe they deserve a response. The applause was thunderous. General Wu Jin Kang stepped to the podium as President Song sat down. At 62 years old, he had served in every major military operation of the past 3 decades. His gray hair and scarred face told the story of a man who understood war. But the cold fury in his eyes was something new. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be very clear about what we're discussing today. This is not a police action. This is not a peacekeeping mission. This is not a negotiation backed by force. His voice grew harder with each word. This is total war against an enemy that murders our children. He activated the large screen behind him, showing tactical displays of the Galactic Dominion's known territory. Red dots marked their major military installations. Yellow dots showed their colonies. Blue lines traced their trade routes. Our enemy controls approximately 400 star systems. They have been the dominant power in this region of the galaxy for over 1,000 years. They have conquered or destroyed dozens of species. They consider themselves the masters of this galaxy. General Kang smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. They have never fought humans before. Dr. Ji-Hai Moon watched the assembly session from her secure bunker 3 miles underground. Around her, the most advanced military research facility on Earth buzzed with activity. Project Prometheus had been her life's work for the past decade, developed in complete secrecy with unlimited funding from Earth Defense Force. The project had begun as a simple question. What if humanity encountered a hostile alien species with superior technology? How could Earth defend itself against enemies with centuries or millennia of technological advancement? The answer had required thinking beyond conventional warfare. Dr. Moon, the assembly is ready for your briefing. Her assistant informed her. She walked to the secure communication room and activated the quantum encrypted link to the assembly hall. President Song's face appeared on her screen. Dr. Moon, please tell the assembly what Earth has been preparing for this possibility. Dr. Moon looked directly into the camera. Around the world, military commanders and government leaders waited to hear what humanity's secret weapon would be. Madam President, members of the Assembly, for 10 years we have been developing what we call asymmetric warfare capabilities. The enemy expects us to fight like other species they have conquered, with conventional fleets and predictable tactics. We will not fight that way. She activated her presentation, showing sleek black ships unlike anything in Earth's official fleet. These are Phantom-class destroyers. They are invisible to all known detection systems. They can travel faster than any ship the Dominion has ever built. Each one carries quantum disruption weapons that can destroy targets at the molecular level. The assembly was completely silent. We have built 87 of these ships in secret facilities across the solar system. But that's not all. The screen changed to show different vessels. These are Nemesis-class dreadnoughts. Each one is capable of fighting entire enemy fleets. We have 12 of them. President Song leaned forward. Dr. Moon, how is it possible that we've developed such advanced technology without the Dominion's knowledge? Madam President, we've been studying their transmissions for 3 years, ever since we detected their first communications. We know their technology, their tactics, their weaknesses. They know nothing about us except what they learned from destroying New Sol. Dr. Moon's expression became grim. That was their first mistake. Their second mistake was believing we would surrender after they showed us their power. Captain Dong Hyun Yu received his activation orders while training with his Special Forces unit in the Australian outback. He had been preparing for this mission for 5 years, training with weapons and equipment that officially didn't exist. His team of 12 soldiers represented the most elite fighting force humanity had ever created. Gentlemen, our mission parameters have changed, he told his team as they gathered in the secure briefing room. We are no longer training for theoretical alien contact. We are now preparing to infiltrate Dominion territory and gather intelligence for active military operations. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Jun Ho-an, raised his hand. Sir, what's our rules of engagement? Captain Yu looked at each member of his team. These men had trained together for years. They trusted each other completely. Now they would be going into space to face an enemy that had never encountered human soldiers. Lieutenant, our orders are simple. We gather intelligence on Dominion military capabilities, command structures, and strategic weaknesses. We are authorized to use any means necessary to complete our mission. He paused. We are also authorized to make the enemy pay for what they did to Jinwoo Park. The room fell silent. Every soldier there had seen the boys' drawing, had heard the story of the school being destroyed. They understood what any means necessary meant. Admiral Hyunwoo Choi stood on the bridge of the Jinwoo's Vengeance, Earth's newest and most powerful warship. The dreadnought had been built in complete secrecy over the past 3 years, using technology that pushed the boundaries of human engineering. At 2 miles long, it was the largest ship humanity had ever constructed. But size wasn't its most impressive feature. The Jinwoo's Vengeance carried weapon systems that could destroy entire planets. Its armor was made from materials that didn't officially exist. Its engines could cross the galaxy in days rather than months. Admiral, all systems are green, reported his operations officer, Commander Sejin Ryu. Fleet units are reporting ready for departure. Admiral Choi looked at the tactical display showing Earth's secret war fleet. 99 ships had been built over the past decade, hidden in asteroid bases and deep space facilities. Each one represented technologies that the Galactic Dominion had never seen before. Commander Ryu, open a channel to all ships. Channel open, sir. Admiral Choi looked into the camera that would broadcast his words to 30,000 sailors and officers. This is Admiral Choi. In 6 hours we will depart for Dominion space to begin military operations against the aliens who murdered Jinwoo Park. I want every person in this fleet to understand what we're fighting for. The image of Jinwoo's drawing appeared on screens throughout the fleet. This 8-year-old boy drew a picture of humans and aliens being friends. The Dominion answered by killing him. He paused, letting his words sink in. We are not going to Dominion space to conquer territory. We are not going there to demand tribute or establish colonies. We are going there to teach the Galactic Dominion what happens when you murder human children. His voice became harder. We are going to make them regret every decision that led to Jinwoo Park's death. The response from the fleet was immediate. 99 ships began final preparations for departure. On New Sol, Commander Tae-ho Kim received an encrypted message from Earth Defense Force. The message was short, but changed everything. Hold position. Reinforcements coming. Make them pay. He gathered the survivors in the colony's main assembly hall. 3 days after the attack, people were still in shock. Some families had lost everything. Others were caring for wounded neighbors. Everyone wanted answers about what Earth was going to do. I've just received word from Earth, Commander Kim announced. Our government has decided on its response to the Dominion attack. The hall was completely quiet. Earth Defense Force is coming, not to evacuate us, not to negotiate with our attackers. They're coming to make the aliens pay for what they did to our children. Dr. So-Young Park stood up in the back of the hall. She still held Jinwoo's drawing, now carefully protected in a clear folder. Commander Kim, what does that mean for us? What does that mean for Jinwoo? Commander Kim looked at her with respect and sadness. Dr. Park had become a symbol of strength for the whole colony, continuing to treat wounded people even while grieving for her son. Dr. Park, it means that Jinwoo's death will not be forgotten. It means that the aliens who killed him will learn that human children are not acceptable targets. And it means that no other species will ever have to suffer what we've suffered here. Captain Min SUI. Fortress Prime had stood guard over the Corlin sector for 300 years. The massive military installation housed 50,000 Dominion troops and served as the command center for operations across 12 star systems. Its commanders had never faced an enemy attack because no species had ever been foolish enough to challenge Dominion power directly. That changed at 0347 hours when Admiral Choi's fleet dropped out of hyperspace directly above the fortress. Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures, the fortress communications officer reported to Base Commander Thekvol. Multiple contacts, unknown configuration. Thekvol moved quickly to the command center. His four eyes focused on the tactical display, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. The contacts were larger than any ships in the Dominion database, and their energy readings were impossible. Are these the human vessels from the recent incident? Sir, these don't match any known human technology. Our intelligence reports indicated their ships were primitive, barely capable of interstellar travel. Thekvol felt the first cold touch of worry. Raise shields and prepare defensive batteries. Send a message to these vessels demanding identification. The response came not in words but in weapons fire. The Jinwoo's Vengeance opened fire with its main quantum cannon. The beam of pure energy struck Fortress Prime's primary shield generator and passed through it like it wasn't there. The explosion could be seen from the surface of 3 nearby planets. Admiral Choi watched the tactical display as his fleet spread out in perfect formation. Each ship had specific targets: communication arrays, weapon platforms, supply depots, command centers. The attack had been planned down to the second. All ships commence bombardment, he ordered. 99 human warships unleashed hell on Fortress Prime. The fortress's defensive weapons tried to respond, but human ships moved unlike anything the Dominion had ever encountered. They seemed to bend space around themselves, appearing and disappearing, striking from impossible angles. Their shields absorbed Dominion fire without any apparent effect. Within 10 minutes, Fortress Prime's defenses were destroyed. Within 20 minutes, the entire installation was burning. Within 30 minutes, 50,000 Dominion soldiers were dead. Not a single human ship had been damaged. Commander Thekvol sent out a desperate distress call before the communication array exploded around him. His final message reached Dominion Command just seconds before the Fortress Command Center was vaporized. Unknown human fleet. Technology beyond our understanding. Fortress Prime is lost. They fight like demons. Colonel Jamin Seo stood in the tactical planning room aboard the stealth destroyer Silent Thunder, studying intelligence reports that Captain Yu's infiltration team had gathered from 3 Dominion worlds. The information painted a clear picture of an enemy that had grown overconfident through centuries of easy victories. Commander, bring us to alert status, he ordered. We're moving to Phase 2. Commander Subin. Nodded and activated the ship's advanced stealth systems. The Silent Thunder was humanity's most sophisticated infiltration vessel, capable of operating completely undetected in enemy territory. Over the past week, it had penetrated deep into Dominion space, gathering intelligence and identifying targets. Sir, we have 7 confirmed military installations within striking range, O reported. All are lightly defended. Intelligence suggests they've never faced a serious attack. Colonel Seo smiled grimly. The Dominion's arrogance would be their downfall. They had built their empire by intimidating weaker species, not by fighting real wars. They had no idea how to respond to an enemy that struck without warning and vanished before they could respond. Signal the hunter-killer squadrons. Begin simultaneous strikes on all 7 targets. Across Dominion space, human ships began appearing out of nowhere. They struck supply depots, communication stations, and isolated outposts with devastating precision. Each attack followed the same pattern: sudden appearance, overwhelming firepower, complete destruction, immediate withdrawal. The attacks weren't random. Colonel Seo had studied Dominion military doctrine and identified their critical weaknesses. The Dominion relied on centralized communication and supply networks. Cut those networks and their empire would begin to collapse from within. Major Kyung-ho Bae led his ground assault team through the ruins of Research Station Delta 7. The Dominion facility had been developing new weapons for use against primitive species. Now it was a smoking crater, and Bae's team was collecting whatever intelligence they could find. "Sir, we've found the research data," Sergeant Il-sung Park reported. The aliens were developing biological weapons specifically designed to target human DNA. Bae felt cold rage build in his chest. The Dominion hadn't just killed Jin-Woo Park. Out of arrogance, they had been planning to kill all humans. "Download everything. Command needs to see this." His team worked quickly, gathering evidence of Dominion plans for human extermination. The biological weapons were designed to be slow-acting and painful. The aliens had planned to make humanity's death a lesson for other species. "Major, incoming transmission from Fleet Command," his communications specialist called out. Admiral Choi's image appeared on Bae's portable display. "Major, what's your status?" "Sir, we've secured the research facility. Intelligence gathered indicates the Dominion was planning biological warfare against human populations. They weren't just trying to control us, sir. They were planning to kill us all." Admiral Choi's expression became stone cold. "Major, document everything. I want complete records of what they were planning." He paused. "And Major, make sure word of this spreads to every species in the galaxy. Everyone needs to know what the Dominion really is." Overlord Vextar received reports of the human attacks in his throne room on the Dominion capital world. At first, he refused to believe them. Humans were primitive. Their technology was centuries behind Dominion science. They couldn't possibly be responsible for the destruction of 7 military installations in a single day. "Show me the tactical recordings from Fortress Prime," he demanded. The holographic display showed the final minutes of the fortress battle. Vextar watched as human ships moved with impossible speed and precision, their weapons cutting through Dominion shields like they didn't exist. He watched 50,000 of his finest soldiers die in 30 minutes. "How is this possible?" he asked his military advisor. "Our intelligence report said humans had only primitive chemical rockets and basic nuclear weapons." "Excellency, it appears our intelligence was incorrect. These humans have technology that we do not understand. Our weapons cannot penetrate their shields. Their weapons ignore our defenses completely." Vextar felt fear for the first time in his long life. "Send word to all sector commanders, full military alert. These humans must be stopped before they can attack our core worlds." But it was already too late for defensive measures. Human forces were operating throughout Dominion space, striking targets at will and vanishing before reinforcements could arrive. The silent thunder appeared above the Dominion colony world of Carex Prime, where 3 million aliens lived under harsh military rule. But Commander O's target wasn't the civilian population. Her target was the orbital weapons platform that the Dominion used to keep the planet's population under control. "Weapons locked on target," her tactical officer reported. "Fire." The weapons platform exploded in a ball, a fire visible from the planet's surface. Below, alien populations who had lived under Dominion oppression for generations watched their oppressors' weapons burn in the sky. Then came the broadcast that would change galactic history. Admiral Choi's image appeared on every communication system in the sector, transmitted by human ships positioned throughout Dominion space. His voice was calm, but his words were harder than steel. "I am Admiral Hyun-woo Choi of the Earth Defense Force. 3 days ago, Dominion forces attacked the human colony of New Seoul and murdered innocent civilians, including 8-year-old Jin-Woo Park." Jin-Woo's drawing appeared on the screen. This child drew a picture of humans and aliens being friends. The Dominion answered by killing him. The image changed to show footage of the destroyed school, the small bodies being pulled from the rubble. The Galactic Dominion wanted to send humanity a message about our place in their galaxy. We received that message. Now we're sending them one back. The screen showed the burning remains of Fortress Prime. This is what happens when you murder human children. We are not interested in negotiation. We are not interested in tribute. We are interested in justice. Admiral Choi's expression became frightening. Every Dominion military installation will be destroyed. Every Dominion weapon will be turned to ash. Every species enslaved by the Dominion will be freed. The broadcast spread across the galaxy faster than any government could stop it. Species that had lived under Dominion rule for centuries saw human ships destroying their oppressors. Worlds that had paid tribute to avoid destruction watched Dominion forces flee in terror. On the planet Zephyria, the native population had been enslaved by the Dominion for 200 years. They watched the human broadcast in secret, afraid, to hope that their nightmare might finally end. Then Major Bay's ground forces landed outside the Dominion garrison that controlled their world. The battle lasted 6 hours. The Dominion had 5,000 soldiers. 3 months had passed since Jinwoo Park's death, and the galaxy had changed completely. What had begun as the Dominion's attempt to intimidate a primitive species had become the collapse of their 1,000-year empire. Fleet Admiral Yoon Ji-han stood on the bridge of the massive dreadnought Eternal Fury, leading humanity's second-wave fleet toward the Dominion homeworld. Behind her, 500 human warships moved in perfect formation through hyperspace. This wasn't the stealth warfare that had characterized the early phase of human operations. This was humanity announcing its arrival as a galactic superpower. Admiral, we'll be dropping out of hyperspace in the Dominion home system in 30 minutes, her navigation officer reported. Admiral Han looked at the tactical display showing the enemy's last stronghold. 300 Dominion ships waited in defensive positions around their homeworld, along with massive orbital weapon platforms that had never been tested in actual combat. It was the largest concentration of military force the Dominion had ever assembled. Signal the fleet. All ships prepare for combat operations. She turned to her communications officer. Open a channel to Admiral Choi's First Fleet. Admiral Choi's weathered face appeared on the main screen. His ships had been fighting in Dominion space for 3 months, systematically destroying enemy installations and liberating oppressed worlds. The toll of constant combat showed in his eyes, but his determination had never wavered. Admiral Han, status report from the First Fleet. Admiral Choi, we've completed liberation operations in 47 systems. Dominion military presence has been eliminated from all outer territories. All that remains is their home system. Admiral Han nodded. Understood. The second wave is ready to commence final operations. Admiral Han, Choi's expression became serious. Remember that this isn't about conquest. This is about justice for Jinwoo Park and all the children who died because the Dominion thought they could terrorize humanity into submission. Understood. Sir, we finished this today. Captain Bo-Ram Kim piloted the experimental ship Thunderbolt through the outer edge of the Dominion home system, her advanced sensors mapping enemy defensive positions. The Thunderbolt represented the absolute cutting edge of human technology, capable of fighting entire enemy fleets single-handedly. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures from the planet's surface, her science officer reported. The Dominion appears to have some kind of planetary defense weapon. Bo-Ram studied the readings. The weapon was larger than anything in human intelligence files capable of destroying capital ships with a single shot, but it had never been tested against human defensive technology. Signal Fleet Command. Tell them the enemy has a surprise waiting for us. She activated the Thunderbolt's most advanced stealth systems. But we have a few surprises of our own. Dr. Young-Soo Lim had spent the past 3 months developing weapons specifically designed to counter Dominion biology and technology. His research labs had produced devices that seemed like science fiction even to human scientists. Weapons that could disrupt alien nervous systems, shields that adapted to any attack, and medical treatments that could heal injuries in minutes. But His most important development was something much simpler. Admiral Han, the bioweapons are ready for deployment, he reported from his lab aboard the medical ship Hippocrates. These devices will render Dominion soldiers unconscious without causing permanent harm. Dr. Lim, our mission parameters call for the complete destruction of Dominion military forces. Yes, ma'am, but I believe we can achieve our objectives. Without genocide, the Dominion military will be neutralized, but their civilian population will survive. Dr. Lim looked at Jinwoo's drawing, which now appeared on screens throughout the human fleet. That child wanted humans and aliens to be friends. I think we can honor his memory by showing mercy when we've won. General Sangmin Park, Dr. So Young Park's brother, led the ground forces preparing to land on the Dominion homeworld. He had requested this assignment personally, driven by grief for his nephew and determination to end the species responsible for Jinwoo's death. General orbital bombardment has cleared the primary landing zones, his aide reported. Dominion ground forces are in complete disarray. General Park looked at the tactical map showing the enemy capital city. Intelligence indicated that Overlord Vextar was in his palace, surrounded by his most elite guards preparing for a final desperate stand. Signal all ground units. We move on the capital in 1 hour. He activated his communication system to address his troops. Soldiers, we are about to capture the alien who ordered Jinwoo Park's death. Remember why we're here. Remember what they took from us. But also remember that we are not like them. We fight for justice, not for the pleasure of killing. The final battle for the Dominion homeworld began when Admiral Han's fleet dropped out of hyperspace directly above the planet. The sight that greeted them was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. A world covered in massive cities, orbital stations, and weapon platforms that had protected the Dominion capital for a millennium. All ships, commence attack, Admiral Han ordered. 500 human warships opened fire simultaneously. The space around the Dominion homeworld lit up with energy beams and explosions as the largest space battle in galactic history began. The Dominion's planetary defense weapon fired its first shot, a massive energy beam capable of destroying a moon. The beam struck the human dreadnought Righteous Anger directly and was completely absorbed by the ship's adaptive shields. Impossible, whispered the Dominion weapon operator as he watched his ultimate weapon fail completely. Captain Kim's Thunderbolt dove into the enemy formation like a predator among prey. Her ship's weapon systems had been designed by human engineers who understood that the best defense was overwhelming offense. Energy beams lanced out in all directions, destroying enemy ships faster than their crews could react. Within minutes, the Thunderbolt had single-handedly destroyed 30 Dominion vessels, but the real shock came when Dr. Lim's bioweapons were deployed. Human ships released clouds of microscopic devices that passed through Dominion shields and hull armor as if they didn't exist. Within seconds of exposure, enemy crews simply fell unconscious. Entire Dominion fleets went dark as their crews fell into harmless but complete unconsciousness. Admiral, enemy resistance is collapsing across all fronts, Admiral Han's tactical officer reported. The bioweapons have neutralized approximately 60% of their forces without casualties. Admiral Han watched as Dominion ships drifted powerless through space, their crews alive but unconscious. It was a victory unlike any in military history, total defeat of the enemy without total destruction. General Park's ground forces landed outside the Dominion capital as the space battle raged overhead. His soldiers advanced through the alien city using tactics that the Dominion had never encountered. They moved like ghosts through urban terrain, appearing where enemies didn't expect them and vanishing before counterattacks could be organized. Dominion's elite guard units, the finest soldiers their species had ever produced, found themselves completely outmatched by human infantry equipped with technology they couldn't understand. General, we've secured the government district, Major Kyung-ho Bae reported. Enemy resistance is crumbling. We're receiving surrender offers from multiple units. Accept all surrenders, but maintain security. We're here for Overlord Vextar, not for a massacre. General Park advanced through the Dominion Palace following intelligence provided by Captain Yu's infiltration team. The building was a monument to alien arrogance, filled with trophies taken from the 47 species the Dominion had exterminated over the centuries. In the center of the palace, surrounded by the skulls of children from species the Dominion had destroyed, General Park found Overlord Vextar waiting with his final guards. "Human," Vextar spoke in heavily accented English, "you have won this battle, but you cannot rule the galaxy. You are too few, too primitive." General Park looked at the alien who had ordered his nephew's death. Vextar was massive, nearly 9 feet tall with 4 arms ending in razor-sharp claws. His guards were similarly imposing, armed with weapons that could cut through human armor. "We don't want to rule the galaxy," General Park replied calmly. "We just want justice for the children you murdered." The final battle was brief and decisive. Human soldiers moved with speed and precision that the alien guards couldn't match. Their weapons passed through Dominion armor like it was paper. Within minutes, Vextar's elite guards were unconscious on the floor. Overlord Vextar himself was captured alive, his claws bound with restraints that he couldn't break. "Why?" he asked, as human soldiers secured him. "Why didn't you kill me? Your species is known for revenge." General Park looked at the alien dictator who had ruled through fear and murder for centuries. "Because a 8-year-old boy named Jin-Woo Park drew a picture of humans and aliens being friends. Even after you killed him, we're going to try to make his dream come true." He gestured to his soldiers. "Take him to the transport. He'll stand trial for his crimes." The Battle of the Dominion homeworld ended 6 hours after it began. 300 enemy ships had been neutralized with minimal casualties. The planet's government had surrendered completely. Overlord Vextar was in human custody. But the most important victory. 1 year after Jin-Woo Park's death, the galaxy had been transformed into something unrecognizable. The Galactic Protection Council operated from a massive space station built in neutral territory, equidistant from Earth and the former Dominion capital. The station, named Jin-Woo Station in honor of the child whose death had changed galactic civilization, housed representatives from over 300 species. Ambassador Hai Wan-jung walked through the station's central plaza, watching delegates from dozens of worlds work together on issues that would have been impossible to imagine under Dominion rule. Children of different species played together in the plaza's gardens, while their parents discussed trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and mutual defense pacts. "Ambassador Jung, the morning council session is ready to begin," her aide informed. Ambassador Jung had been Earth's first appointment to the Galactic Protection Council. Her job was not to rule or control, but to facilitate cooperation between species that had never been allowed to govern themselves. It was perhaps the most important diplomatic position in galactic history. "Thank you. Have our guests from the Zephyrian system arrived?" "Yes, ma'am. They're very excited to present their proposal for the new education initiative." The education initiative was one of the Council's most important projects. For the first time in galactic history, children from all species would learn together, sharing knowledge and building friendships across species lines. The curriculum would include the story of Jin-Woo Park and the lesson that diversity was strength, not weakness. Supreme Admiral Do-Young Kim stood in the command center of the orbital defense platform that protected Jin-Woo Station. His job was to ensure that the peace Jin-Woo had dreamed of could be maintained against those who might threaten it. "Admiral, we're receiving reports of pirate activity in the Outer Rim sectors," his intelligence officer reported. 3 merchant vessels have been attacked in the past week. Admiral Kim studied the tactical display. Pirates had always been a problem in the galaxy, but under Dominion rule they had often been ignored as long as they didn't interfere with tribute shipments. The Protection Council had a different philosophy. Signal the 4th Fleet. Deploy hunter-killer squadrons to the affected sectors. I want those pirates captured and their victims rescued. Sir, the pirates are using former Dominion military equipment. They may be remnants of Vextar's forces. Admiral Kim's expression hardened. Some elements of the old Dominion military had refused to accept the new galactic order and had turned to piracy and terrorism. They called themselves the True Dominion. and claimed they would restore the old empire, they were wrong. Signal all fleet commanders. Any pirates using former Dominion equipment are to be treated as war criminals. No quarter, no negotiations. The age of ruling through fear is over. Premier Insu Choi had been elected as the first chairman of the Galactic Protection Council by representatives from all member species. His job was perhaps the most difficult in the galaxy, maintaining peace between hundreds of different cultures, while ensuring that no species dominated any other. Premier, we have a situation developing in the Corallan sector, his chief of staff informed him. 2 species are claiming territorial rights to the same star system. This was exactly the kind of dispute that had led to wars under the old Dominion system. Overlord Vextar would have simply awarded the system to whichever species paid more tribute. The Protection Council operated differently. Schedule mediation sessions with both species. Bring in neutral arbitrators from 3 different worlds. We'll find a solution that works for everyone. Sir, what if they refuse to accept arbitration? Premier Choi looked at the wall display showing Jinwoo's drawing. The image reminded him daily of why the Protection Council existed. Then we remind them that the alternative to peaceful cooperation is the return of systems like the Dominion. Nobody wants that. Captain Donghyun Yu had transitioned from Special Forces operations to leading the Council's rapid response teams. These units were responsible for dealing with threats to galactic peace, whether they came from criminals, terrorists, or wannabe dictators. Captain, we have a priority alert from the Nexus system, his communications officer reported. A group calling itself the New Empire has taken control of the planetary government and declared independence from the Protection Council. Yu studied the intelligence reports. The New Empire was led by a coalition of former Dominion officers who had escaped human justice. They had seized control of Nexus Prime by promising to restore the old order of strong species ruling over weak ones. Signal the fleet. We deploy in 2 hours. Yu looked at his team of human and alien Special Forces soldiers. Gentlemen, ladies, it's time to remind some people why the old empire fell. The mission to liberate Nexus Prime demonstrated the key difference between the old Dominion and humanity's approach to galactic governance. When the Dominion had faced rebellions, they responded with overwhelming force designed to terrorize populations into submission. Yu's forces used precision strikes to neutralize the New Empire's leadership while protecting civilian populations. Within 12 hours, the rebel leaders were in custody, and the planet's legitimate government was restored. But the most important part of the operation came afterward. Citizens of Nexus Prime, Yu announced to the planetary population. The New Empire claimed they could offer you security through strength. They planned to rebuild the Dominion's system of oppression and fear. He gestured to his diverse team of human and alien soldiers. We offer you something better. Security through cooperation, strength through unity, and peace through justice. Former Overlord Vexitar had spent a year in human custody awaiting his trial before the Galactic Justice Tribunal. The tribunal was composed of judges from 12 different species, including some whose planets Vextar had personally ordered destroyed. The trial had been broadcast across the galaxy, with billions of beings watching as evidence of Dominion crimes was presented. Vextar had expected to be executed quickly, but humans had insisted on a full trial to document the Dominion's atrocities for galactic history. Vextar, former overlord of the Galactic Dominion, the chief judge announced, you have been found guilty of genocide, crimes against sapient species, and the murder of innocents across 47 star systems. Vextar stood in his restraints, unrepentant even in defeat. I ruled the galaxy for 40 years. I brought order to chaos. I made the difficult decisions that weak species could not make. The chief judge looked at the alien dictator with disgust. You murdered children to maintain your power. You destroyed entire civilizations to send messages to others. You turned the galaxy into a place where the strong preyed upon the weak without consequence. And what will you do with me now, human judge? Execute me? Torture me? Show me the same mercy I showed others? The judge smiled sadly. No, Vextar. We're going to show you something you never showed anyone else. The possibility of redemption. The sentence was unprecedented in galactic history. Instead of execution, Vextar was sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole. After 50 years of community service, he would spend his remaining years working to rebuild the worlds he had destroyed, helping the species he had oppressed, and learning what it meant to create instead of destroy. You murdered Jinwoo Park because he drew a picture of humans and aliens being friends, the judge continued. You will spend the rest of your life proving that his dream was right and your nightmare was wrong. Dr. So-Young Park had become one of the most respected leaders in human space. As governor of New Seoul, she had overseen the colony's transformation from a simple farming settlement into one of the galaxy's most important cultural centers. The colony now hosted the annual Jinwoo Park Memorial Festival, where children from hundreds of species came together to create art, share stories, and build friendships. Governor Park, the memorial ceremony is ready to begin, her assistant informed her. Dr. Park walked through the memorial garden where her son's statue stood surrounded by flowers from every world in the Protection Council. The statue showed Jinwoo holding his drawing, smiling with the innocent hope that had inspired a galactic revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, beings of all species, she addressed the crowd of thousands who had gathered for the anniversary. 1 year ago, my son Jinwoo drew a picture of his dream, a galaxy where humans and aliens could be friends. The Dominion killed him for that dream. She looked up at the statue, tears flowing freely. Today, his dream has become reality. Children of dozens of species attend school together on New Seoul. Former enemies work as partners in the Protection Council. Species that were enslaved for centuries now govern themselves with dignity and freedom. Her voice became stronger. Jinwoo's death was not in vain. His dream saved the galaxy. The ceremony concluded with the traditional release of light drones, carrying messages of peace to every world in the council. As thousands of lights rose into the sky above New Seoul, Dr. Park felt a presence beside her. He would be so proud, a voice said softly. Dr. Park turned to see Admiral Choi, now retired from active duty, but still one of the most respected figures in human space. Admiral, thank you for coming. Thank you for raising a son whose dream was worth fighting for. Admiral Choi looked at the memorial statue,